just finished weaning off its mom about a month ago, so we have not settled on a name. So if you guys have great name suggestions, let me know. By the way, do you guys remember, does anyone remember the scientific name of the family that sloths come from? Xenarthra. The first two sloths I worked with was a male and female. I named one Xena, one Arthur, because it made Xenarthra, and I was very proud of myself. So those are already taken. But if you come up with other names, let me know. I'm going to walk around while I talk about the sloth. Just to remind you what we're talking about with the sloth, quick story. The very first sloth that I ever worked with, I remember the first day we got the sloth. I was waiting in a room with the sloth with one of my staff. And we were waiting for the vet to come in to do a physical to check out the sloth. My staff accidentally knocked something off the shelf, made a loud noise, startled the sloth. It took the sloth about 15 seconds to turn his head and even see what the noise was. How can an animal like that survive? There must be advantages to being slow and weak and small. Can anyone have any suggestions about why it's good to be slow, small, or weak? Go for way back there in the purple shirt. So I might have to walk over there to hear you because I'm from the speaker. I'm just going to sneak in the middle here. And guys, remember, the sloth will be out for a good 20 minutes after the show or until everyone has a turn. What are you going to say? How can they grow moss on their backs? Because they're so slow. They move so slowly, moss and algae literally grow over their fur. The sloth stays this still for over 20 hours a day. It only spends 2 to 3 hours in the middle of the night being active. It is so slow when it's sitting up in a tree. It's not just brown, it'll be covered with a layer of green moss because that's how slowly it moves. There are in fact 2 species of moss that we know of that only ever exist on the back of sloth fur. Sloth fur is its own ecosystem. That's how slow it is. It basically just blends into the environment. You guys have heard of eagles, right? Your eagles here in America are pretty vicious. You have bald eagles and golden eagles. They are nothing compared to South American eagles. They have harpy eagles. They look like Gothic giant eagles. They are the main predators of the sloth. Do you think this sloth looks like he can fight off an eagle? Can it run away from an eagle? And yet, sloths survive for an average of 15 to 20 years before they get gobbled up by something like an eagle or a jaguar. Part of the reason for that is their good camouflage, that they stay so still. Now, there's a second big advantage to being slow, having little muscle. Can you think of the other advantages? What do you think? They don't waste energy. That is a perfect answer. What I want you guys to do is think about, what was the fast animal you guys said? Cheetah. I also have some bad news for people. Cheetahs are slow. Cheetahs go 60 miles an hour. You guys think that's fast? The fastest animal on earth goes 250 miles an hour. The falcon, the peregrine falcon specifically. What I want you guys to think about, to put this into perspective, think about the last time you went for a jog, the last time you went on the treadmill in the gym. How many miles an hour were you going? 4 to 7. And you spent an hour running, you worked up a sweat, you thought you burned so many calories. Did you even lose 1 pound after an hour? No. What if you could move at 250 miles an hour? When I take my 1 pound falcon, I let him go fly outside for 1 to 2 hours. When it comes back, it has lost 20% of its whole body. So I weigh a little over 200 pounds. If I go to the gym and I moved as fast as a falcon, after 1 to 2 hours, I would be 160 pounds. I would have lost 40 pounds. That sounds great, right? But here's what life as a falcon is like. I need food today. I go out to hunt, bad luck, I didn't get food. Tomorrow I go out to hunt, bad luck, I didn't catch anything. Day 3, there's a storm, I couldn't catch anything, I am done. 3 days with no food and most falcons are out of the evolutionary game. But the big snake, you guys remember the big snake that was out here? It can go 6 to 8 months without food, no problem. The tarantula that was on this side, it can go 2 to 3 years without food, no problem. Falcons can't, cheetahs can't. We can go a couple of weeks without food. We're medium energy animals, but still pretty high compared to reptiles. Sloths are the low energy version of mammals. He only eats about 1 to 2 tablespoons of greens per day, and the kind of greens that he eats have almost 0 calories. No one even tries to compete for the sloth's food because no one can survive off of it. If he runs out of food, he just reaches up on his back to gulp on some of the moss for a few days until the forest regrows. That's how little energy they need. So guys, if I tell you, is it better to have a lot of muscle or a little muscle? What's the answer? It depends. Having so little muscle helps because it needs so few calories. If I tell you, is it better to be fast or slow? What's the answer? It depends. If I tell you, is it better to be big or small? It depends. And that's where I'm going to end off things. Because guys, how big is the biggest sloth that ever lived? 25 foot tall. They lived for millions of years. When did they go extinct? Very recently, only a few thousand years ago. Why did we lose giant sloths? What happened to them? They went extinct, but why? Why did they go extinct? Do you want to guess? Deforestation. For once, it was not our fault. For once. What do you think? It's not because they didn't blend in. It's a good guess, though. Have you guys heard of woolly mammoths?
Yeah.
They went extinct at the same time for the same reason. Have you guys heard of saber-toothed cats?
Yes.
They went extinct at the same time for the same reason. Giant sloths, giant beavers existed. Giant rats existed very recently. All of them went extinct because of the ice age. Ice covered the planet. Did the amount of food go up or down? Down. When there's less food, is it better to be big or small? Small, because you need less food, you need less energy. It was better to be big for a while, and then it became better to be small. It all depends on the environment. So guys, I could go on for a lot longer, but here's what's going to happen now. We're going to have the sloth up here. We're going to go from one side to the other. Everyone can get this close, take a picture of the sloth. We can only have the sloth out for a certain amount of time throughout the day though, so we can't do like a 2 to 3 minute photo shoot, let you pat, etc. We're going to give everyone enough time to get a picture, ask a question, and so on. There will be the armadillo on this side, I think. Yeah, the armadillo on this side. The opossum will be on that side. Sloth will be in the middle here. We're just going to keep going left to right until everyone gets a turn with all of the animals. And I'm going to be where the porcupine is. I'm going to take the porcupine out, and the porcupine will be out on the table. We're going to have about 20 minutes to meet these animals. This is one of our busier times today, so it might take a little longer. No rush, guys. We'll make sure everyone gets to see all of these animals before moving on. Before I turn off the mic, guys, did you guys have fun meeting animals so far? Did you guys learn anything cool so far? Alright guys, come on up to meet the animals. It's going to be about 2 minutes. I'll be over with the porcupine shortly.